Hey, welcome. Today, we're diving into something really special, a spiritual roadmap that's over 1,000 years old. It comes to us from the great master Padmasambhava, and he created it to help anyone on a spiritual path figure out exactly where they are on their journey. Think of it as a guide to the inner landscape of your own mind. I mean, it's a question we all ask ourselves at some point, right? Am I actually making progress here, or am I just spinning my wheels? That feeling of uncertainty, it can be really discouraging. And without any clear signposts, it's just so easy to feel like you're lost. But what if you had a map? What if you had an ancient GPS for your mind that literally lays out the exact signs and stages of progress? Well, that's precisely what this text is, a clear, reliable guide to know exactly where you are on the journey. So let's explore this amazing GPS for the mind. So here's how we're going to break it down, following the structure of the text itself. First, we'll get a handle on our GPS. Then, we'll journey through 3 really distinct stages of signs, the temporary ones, the main practice signs, and the unchanging ones, before we finally arrive at the final fruit, which is the very end of the path. Okay, first things first, we gotta learn how to read this map. The text makes a super important distinction right from the get-go. Not all signs are created equal. It splits them up into what it calls uncertain signals and certain signals. So on one hand, you have these uncertain signs. These things can just pop up because of old karma, even if you haven't meditated for a single minute. They're kind of like phantom signals on your GPS, totally unreliable, and they can even mislead you. So we're just going to put those aside for now. What we're really interested in are the certain signs, the ones that come directly and reliably from your dedicated practice. These are the true north on our compass. All right, let's get into our first set of certain signs, the temporary signs. These are often the very first and sometimes the most dramatic clues that your practice is really starting to kick in and create a fundamental shift. Now, what's so cool here is the incredible meaning Padmasambhava gives these signs. He says they show that you've started to separate samsara. You can think of that as the endless cycle of everyday confusion, stress, and drama, from nirvana, which is a state of genuine freedom and peace. So we're not talking about a small change. This is the beginning of a massive shift in your whole being. And yeah, these first experiences can be pretty intense. During this separation phase, your body might feel like it's collapsing or even trembling, while your mind just completely loses interest in all that worldly stuff. Then, as things settle down into stability, you might feel this amazing bliss. And in your mind, you could have a direct experience of emptiness, paired with this deep, spontaneous compassion for everyone. So, here's the crucial point. While these signs are powerful and they totally confirm you're on the right track, they're called temporary for a reason. They're like the weather on a long hike. One day it's sunny and beautiful, the next it's a thunderstorm. They're real, for sure, but they are not the destination. They come and they go. So once that initial weather calms down, where do we go next? Well, that brings us to the main practice signs. Here, the experiences become less about these dramatic physical feelings and much more about a deep internal shift. This is where the foundation of your practice really starts to get solid. And this quote, wow, it just captures the heart of this stage perfectly. It's not just some idea you think about, it's a reality you feel. A genuine, overwhelming compassion for others just bubbles up, and it can be so strong it actually brings you to tears. Your devotion to the path just becomes unshakable. The signs you see at this stage are just profound. You start to feel this real wariness with all the superficial goals the world chases after. You get this rock-solid conviction in cause and effect. And here's the big one. You start to see the nature of your own mind, that your thoughts are just empty displays, like clouds in the sky, and that everything you experience is inseparable from your own consciousness. Okay, now we're arriving at a really critical turning point on our map. We're moving from all those temporary, shifting signs to what are called the unchanging signs. This is where your realization becomes stable, consistent, and totally irreversible. So how do you know if you've actually hit this stage? The text gives this fascinating litmus test, dreams. Can you hold on to this clear awareness even when your conscious mind is totally checked out, asleep? When that recognition of your true nature stays with you even in your dreams, you know you've reached a profound level of stability. And the qualities of this state are just extraordinary. You stop clinging to experiences as if they're solid and real. Everything starts to appear more like a light-filled, transparent display. There's no longer this sense of a me inside that has to accept or reject things. Appearance and emptiness, you see, they're just two sides of the same coin. It's all just effortlessly one thing.
And that brings us to the final destination on our map, the final fruit. This is the absolute culmination of the path, a state that's described as the exhaustion of phenomena, which is where the journey itself is finally complete.
And what's wild here is how the text says progress just takes off like a rocket. After you hit that stable, dreamlike awareness, it says you can attain these different levels of enlightened expression, which are described as the bodies of a Buddha. First, a form that can appear in the world to help people. Then, a body of pure light and bliss. And finally, the ultimate reality itself. The main point is, progress just speeds up like crazy at this stage. But what does exhaustion of phenomena actually mean? It sounds a little strange, doesn't it? It's really a beautiful idea, though. It's the point where, from your perspective, all those signs of progress we've been talking about, they just stop appearing. And why is that? Because the difference between appearance and emptiness has totally dissolved into one perfect reality that's just beyond any words or concepts. And here's the beautiful paradox. Just as your inner journey, with all its signs and stages, comes to an end, the outer expression of that realization truly begins. The compassionate drive to help and benefit every other being just arises spontaneously, effortlessly, without you even having to think about it. We'll close with a really powerful warning from the text itself. Padmasambhava says that without a clear map like this one, even being fascinated with emptiness can become just another trap, another form of attachment. This guidance is absolutely crucial to make sure our practice leads to real freedom, not just a new, more subtle kind of confusion. So this leaves us with a final thought to chew on. In our modern world, which is just filled with distractions and uncertainty, what can we take away from these ancient, clear, and profound guidelines for the inner journey? What does it really mean to have a map for the mind here in the 21st century?